And Fanita James is with us outside the courthouse live in Los Angeles. She was a member of the Blossoms, sang with Phil Spector back in the 1960s. Was it a quest for perfection on his part? What was it like being in the studio and working with Phil Spector?
Oh, it was definitely a quest for perfection. He was a perfectionist. He had complete control, and he knew exactly what he wanted, and he got it. It was that simple.
And how did he go about getting it when he's working with somebody like you?
Well, he made sure he had people around who could do it, who could do what he wanted. You know, the musicians were the best, and I might add, the Blossoms did most of the background for everybody. The Ronettes, the Righteous Brothers, Tina Turner. You know, we did it for everybody. So the Crystals. So he knew what he wanted, and he got it.
And did he keep you there long hours?
Sing it and play it.
Long hours in the studio?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But he worked with the band more than he did with the singers, because he had a specific sound. That sound of noise, I mean, that wall of noise he had, you know, was perfection, and he knew exactly how to get it.
And Fanita, what about this business? What about this business about guns? We've heard people say he pulled out guns in the studio, threatened people. Did you ever see that?
Honestly, never, never. You know, mind you, we worked with him when he first came out to California in the 60s, and I don't know, you know, what if he changed or what, but I never saw that.
All right, well, that's good.
Ever.
I'm glad to hear that, Fanita. And over the years, did you continue to know Phil Spector, or did you drift apart in the early 60s?
I'm sorry?
Did you continue to know him over the years, even after the Blossoms?
No, we didn't. After he married Ronnie Spector, that was kind of the end of the girl group thing for him.
Yeah.
That was his utopia. It really was. He loved her so much.
Fanita, when you heard that Phil Spector was accused of murder, that a woman turned up dead in his house, what went through your mind?
I was totally shocked. I mean, I said, no way. You know, but you just never know. You know, I hadn't seen him in many, many, many years, but in my heart, I don't believe he did it.
You know, Dr. Jeff, as a psychologist, help us understand Phil Spector, because we've heard from a lot of people who knew him. And there's plenty of people like Fanita James who say, yeah, he was a perfectionist. He was a hard-working guy. He was a musical genius, but he was charming. I can't believe he would commit murder. And there's another group of people who say he was menacing. He pulled out guns. He threatened people. He was obnoxious. Do you think it's possible that he was both of those things?
It is quite possible he was both of those things, because you're talking about the ones who really are his fans. Talk about that magic Phil Spector in the early 60s, when he was producing the hits, when things were really great, when he was admired by many people. He had that wall of sound. He was a pioneer. And then things started going downhill for him. And as things, you know, as the hits stopped, certainly there were more issues as far as mental stability, alcohol, involvement with women, and he just did not appear to be a very nice person. So I think what we're seeing is the progression from someone who was very youthful and in fact had a lot of promise and hope and really had the world in his hands, to someone who became older and embittered.
That's a sad story, isn't it? It's very sad what happened to Phil Spector. Well, as we go to break, we want to update you on today's 13th juror question. Will the presence of Spector's daughter in court help his defense? So far, only 12% of you are voting yes. 88% say the defense needs more than that. You can log. Yeah, and if you want an example of somebody who has been successful in the business, even, imagine this, even after the age of 40, take a look at Fanita James, who's had a career in the music business for 50 years or so, which is hard to believe. I know you're only a day or two over the age of 40, Fanita. I'm not going to give it away. But what do you think of all of these people who have been saying, oh, she turned 40, she was washed up, that was the end for her?
Oh, honestly, you know, if you've got it, you still have it in your heart, and the talent and the voice, go as long as you can, you know? That's how I feel.
Are you still singing, Fanita?
Am I what?
Still singing?
I'm sorry? No, I'm retired now. happily with my grandchildren and my children and my family. And I do a few things now and again for friends, but no, I've had enough.
Well, I don't know. You know, we don't know each other that well yet, Fanita. We've only just met, but if I could somehow get into that category of being at least one of your acquaintances, one of your new friends, do you think we could convince you to sing any one of the songs that you sang with Phil Spector back in the day? He's a Rebel, or any of them.
Oh,
Can you give us just a few bars?
Yeah, He's a Rebel. Now, I didn't sing lead on it, but I remember it as if it were yesterday. See the way he walks down the street. Watch the way he shuffles his feet. My holds his head up high when he goes walking by. He's my guy. When he holds my hand, I'm so proud. 'Cause he's not just one of the crowd. That's enough.
Fanita James, everybody, Open Court's musical guest for the morning. That was terrific. That was such a pleasure, Fanita. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, it was a pleasure being here.
Fanita, before we let you go, I know that you started out as the Dreamers in the 1950s. Were you the real-life Dream Girls?
Real-life jingles?
Dream
You
Girls.
say? Do you know, I think so. That play, I think, kind of depict most of the girls' groups at that time. You know, and I'm glad you mentioned the Dreamers, because we were with Richard Berry and the Dreamers. In fact, he gave us that name. We did a lot of work with him and around LA under that name. And it was 4 of us at that time. So that's interesting. You should mention the Dreamers.
Well, I think you were. I think you guys were the real-life Dream Girls. That's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Well, what effect will viewing the death scene have on the jurors, to get back to the legal side of this thing? When we come back, we'll hear what you had to say about that as we reveal the answer to our question of the day. Stay with us.